Greetings, everyone. I am Iron Torch 20, and I'm going to be taking on another Spielberg movie, which is Gremlins 2, the sequel to a pretty good movie from the 80s, Gremlins. This is actually one of the more bizarre sequels you'll ever see in your time. So, let's get this started. This game features cutscenes much like Batman from 1989, and here we are with Gizmo trapped in Clamp's lab after they found him tearing down Mr. Wing's store. Billy luckily works there, so he frees Gizmo. So now we're in World War I, and now Gizmo has to make it through to Billy's office. And fortunately, this part is pretty easy, but it starts off with some of the most generic enemies you'll find. That there is a crystal, that's going to be your currency for the game. Here we are with more rats. Also jumping, you move around in 8 directions, so you do more of that. And here we are with mutant tomatoes. And more bats, because every game needs to have bats. So yeah, this is an odd little game, but also pretty enjoyable. As I knock off another bouncing mutant tomato. Here's the sub-screen. I was just going to turn the volume down, but as you see, we start with no lives, so if you die once, it's game over. But you can buy extra lives. That's the balloon that tells you, or that gives you a chance to not get hurt whenever you fall into a pit. And your life is there. You get up to 4 hearts and crystals to buy things at Mr. Wing's store, which is still here in the Clamp Center for some reason. Here we are with more mutant tomatoes. And as you can see, one thing I also forgot to mention was Gizmo's weapon. You start off with tomatoes. So, they're not just for bad comics. Now you can just knock off giant mutant tomatoes, rats, and bats with them. Going up, here's your first store. This bottle is the medicine bottle. It automatically restores your health to full. Here's another balloon in case you fall into a pit. And this is an extra life, so I'm going to go with the extra life because this game does get harder and it's actually pretty important to stay stocked up on these things. Unfortunately, you can only buy one item at a time, which I guess keeps you from breaking the game. That was a light bulb, and that automatically killed every enemy on screen, so all those bats just went by. This is actually going to be very common in this game, is jumping across these moving platforms. There's some more bats. That's a pogo stick, and this gives me invincibility. So I can just knock off every enemy on the screen just by jumping into them. And that's it for the first stage. This is a very short stage. This is, of course, the introductory world, so it is pretty easy. Here we are at stage 1-2. This place does get a little bit more tricky with more bats. Stupid bats. There are also spikes that you have to jump over. Fortunately, they're not instant kill, but they're still a pain to get through. Here's our first encounter with spiders. Yeah, they decide to put some of the most generic enemies in World 1. Unfortunately, the Clamp Center's pest control isn't really that good. If I have to throw moldy tomatoes at spiders and bats. I always thought bats hated light. Here's another platform to jump on. Also, if you do get the light bulb, it only breaks the spiders in 3, which happens after you hit them 3 times. And let's see, you just gotta take care of these guys before you jump. And that's one other thing about this game, is that some enemies are gonna want to knock you into pits, so make sure you be careful with taking them out first before you move on. Unfortunately, that means you're gonna see a lot of me just standing around and firing, which is gonna happen a lot once we get deeper into the game. So there's just another bat to knock off. And right here at this divisor, you're going to want to go to the right because there's another store. Let's see, we get our choice between an extra life, a balloon, and a heart container. This heart container is going to allow me to have 4 hearts now instead of 3. Yeah, you know what, I don't feel like dealing with these spiders, so I'm just not gonna. Just take out this bat. Yeah, I just gotta wait for this one. This one kind of moves quickly, so it can get easy to get your timing screwed up. Okay, just gotta clear these spikes. Meet another bat. And here we are in Billy's office, and every time you clear a world in this game, you get a new weapon, and we get the match. Let's enjoy another cutscene. Here's the part where Gizmo gets wet from the drinking fountain, and as you know, if a Mogwai gets wet, then he multiplies. So there are the other Mogwais. As you know, the striped one's always the leader. And there's the one that's kind of brain damaged. In the movie, they shove him into the air ducts. Here's stage 2-1. So my plan is to go with one world per video. So I'm just going to call it here. So join me next time as I take on more as I get out of the air ducts and into the basement where bad stuff starts to happen.